Hello, and welcome to tonight's movie. It was Oculus. Yeah, I guess start. TLDR.
Yeah, Mir fucks with two kids' minds. I liked it. It worked. It worked for me. You know what?
I liked it less.
Yeah. I don't know. It worked for me. It wasn't horror-y or anything. Like it tried to be there, but couldn't quite get it. But I still liked the premise and them going back and forth between: is it real? Is it fake? Is the mirror actually doing all this tricky shit, or are you just psychologically impaired, or and it had a good backstory. Maybe not the. I don't know if I like the order of operations they did it in.
I think you're getting at my issue. I love the ambition. Like, the idea that they were going for was amazing. And a lot of the visuals and the acting was incredible. But the execution wasn't there. Like, I feel like in the whole time it's jumping back and forth between the adults and the children. And after a while, you can't easily discern which is which. And like, I know part of the movie is they want that. They want to put you on edge. They want you to be unsettled. But I think there's a line between you not knowing what's going on and being unsettled or disturbed by it, and then you not knowing what's going on and just being confused.
Right.
Like, I feel like they were on the wrong side of the line, and it got to the point where you, the viewer, couldn't keep track of the story either. And, like, I get the characters aren't supposed to know what's real and what's not, but once I can't really tell either, I kind of lose the interest. Like, none of it seems real at that point. None of it has any stakes because you never know when they're just going to reset it anyway.
I think it's a hard line.
It kind of lost me.
For a movie like this, it's a hard line because what do you do? Like, if you go in order of operations where they're kids and the events happen, can you really do that? If you show that and then the movie progresses from there, them coming back as they're older? Because then you can't do the multiple flashbacks of confusing the audience of whether it's real or not.
Yeah. And I was fine with them jumping between memory and reality, but it's just between the memory and reality and then the different realities between what was actually happening, what the mirror was showing them, and then the flashback version of actual reality and what the mirror was showing them in the flashback. Like, it was just basically 4 different timelines all happening at the same time. And it got to the point where you just could not keep track of which one you were seeing, if any of them. And it was just, I don't know, it got to the point where it was too confusing that I wasn't invested.
I was bordering on that. Yeah, I can agree with that. I was bordering on that, but they still just barely pulled it off. I would have liked it to have been a little bit more coherent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe just a straight up, this mirror is shitty and it messes with you, and like, I don't want to say what I'm about to say because that would sound stupid, but like in a Mario Kart game where you got the split screen.
Mm-hmm.
If one side is the dude, one side is the lady, and they're both working, and they kind of, like, sometimes they meet in the middle and the screen melds into one, and then they come back together, and you're like, oh, that's...
See, that would actually be a very interesting premise. That I would watch.
Maybe, I don't know.
I feel like this too, there was... I will talk about one of the positives first that I really liked, and it was just a scene, but the bit with the apple. Because at first I'm like, oh, this is annoying as hell, they're spoon-feeding what's going to happen. Like, she puts the apple there, and it's purposeful. And then she puts one light bulb back in the box, and then the next one she puts on the table, and it rolls right against the apple. And at that point, as soon as she's putting it on the table, you already know what's going to happen. Like, you know what the next scene is going to be. And then it does happen. Obviously, she picks up the apple, but it's actually the light bulb. She bites it, cuts her mouth, and you're like, okay, well, that was stupid. And then her brother comes in. He's like, hey, what's wrong? Blah, blah, blah. And then you go back to seeing her mouth, and it's not blood, it's the piece of apple, and she pulls it out. And
extra twist in there.
Yeah, they faked you out twice. And that was actually kind of cool. Sure. I did like that. I liked the subversion. But, I don't know. Overall, it didn't work. There was too much back and forth. There was too much inconsistency. And then there were a few plot holes, because especially with something that's confusing, there's bound to be. Like, actually one I noticed, I don't even know why I caught it, but they mention how it always eats the pets, or kills the pets, or drains their energy, or whatever. And then there's one point where the kids go upstairs, and the mirror's area of influence, which they mention, so it's not a concept I made up, it's in the movie, is already upstairs, because the mother's already doing her thing, the father's already lost it, even when they're in the upstairs, everything. So the kids are hiding in their room, and when they close the door, next to them on the dresser, you see a fish tank with perfectly clean water and perfectly normal fish swimming around like nothing is wrong.
I noticed the fish tank. I don't remember seeing fish.
I specifically looked. There were fish.
Did you?
And they were still swimming. They were not dead.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was my thought. Either it should be an empty fish tank or they should be floating.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, the trees and the bushes outside the house, just on the outside of the house, were still all good. So
Yeah. Yeah, there was a few things like that just... If you're going to set these rules, you have to follow them. I mean, you guys made the rules. You made the movie universe. You have to apply it. Otherwise, don't bring them up. Like, if you decided to make it a thing, you need to adhere to it. So, I don't know. Overall, for me, it was confusing and messy. I love the ambition. I love the visuals. I love the acting. I know what they were going for, and I can't fault any one thing for not getting there. People were definitely trying.
Before you rate it, what about the ending?
The ending really didn't do it for me either.
Yeah? A little too abrupt? Like, that should have been the climax, and then something should have progressed from there, but all of a sudden it just ends?
Honestly, yes. If there was a twist at the end, I feel like that would have been better than what they just went with. They're like, yeah, this is it. And it's like, oh, that was... I don't know, it was kind of unsatisfying.
Right.
Like, it wasn't great.
You kind of want to see the mirror defeated and see if they can actually break the mirror. And
yeah. There were twists the whole time, and then the one time where they really could have, they decided, no, we're good enough, this is fine.
Is there an Oculus 2?
I think they were trying to set that up with, people in the window and everything. And by the way, with their eyes, they weren't just weird. If you saw, their eyes were mirrors. Because multiple times when it got really close on the mother, you could see the reflection of the kids in her eyes.
Yeah, I didn't notice that.
Like, it was really... I don't know if it was intentional or if it was just the effects that they applied, but...
I just thought it was really cool.
That was
Riddick to the umpteenth blow kind
Yeah.
of thing, I didn't notice it was a mirror.
But yeah, at least once when it was really close up on the mother and the kids were panicking, then they started to run away, you could see their reflections in her eyes. So I thought that was a cool... Like I said, I don't even know if it was intentional, but it was cool.
Okay. So give me a rating.
But yeah, no, best 6.
Oh.
Like, I'd say
Wow.
I can put it above average because the visuals...
I was going to say, the way you were talking, I thought you were going to give it like a 4 or a 5.
I was on the fence a lot. Well, through half the movie, I was kind of already checked out of the movie, and I'm thinking, like, is it a 4? Is it a 6? Like, would I recommend it? Is it above average, below average? But at the end, like, the acting was great. Everyone really played their parts,
Sure.
and the visuals were incredible, and there were some scenes that were just really well done. So I can say it's above average just as a thing to view. There were bits that were enjoyable, but overall, as a coherent movie experience, not my favorite. So 6.
Okay, all right. I was going to give it a 7, and that's only 1 point higher, and I thought I liked it a bit more than you. So that's, I don't know, weird.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, now you said you've seen Mirrors with Kiefer Sutherland, and you really like that one. Is that one?
Yes,
comparable?
That one I thoroughly enjoyed.
Is that comparable to this? Like back in the day, they did like Twister and the Volcano and the Earthquake movies all simultaneously. Like one studio puts it out and another comes out. Do you think that was like this kind of thing?
No, not just because they were a decade apart or whatever, but this was going a completely different angle than that.
Because I've never seen Mirrors, but when it started, I was
surprises
like,
me,
oh,
'cause you
okay.
really
Because I think Mirrors and Oculus came out around the same time.
No, they were a long ways apart. Yeah. Mirrors, I think, was in the aughts.
Around 2010.
No, I'm pretty sure it was before that.
Around 2010.
And then this was
like 2015?
This was more recent than that. Oh, maybe it's not. 2014.
2014. Oh, yes, yeah, it is old.
They're closer than I thought, but no, Mirrors is, I'm pretty sure, in the aughts somewhere.
I thought that was around 2010.
I think there was a chunk of time. But either way, yeah, very different premise. That one's... Actually, I have one more complaint, too. Maybe I forgot, do they ever explain why the mirror decides to kill people? Or what or who it's haunted by?
No, it's just a supernatural mirror that is.
Like, they call it the Lassiter mirror, the Lesser glass, whatever it was. But that was just the first guy that it killed. Like, they never explain why.
Right. It just, all of a sudden was...
Yeah, and I think that's part of it for me, too. Like, everything else, like, the Amityville house is on an Indian burial ground. Chucky is a serial killer. Everything always has a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Things are happening because. They're not just happening.
Right.
And this doesn't give you a because.
Right.
It's just, hey, these are some events that you're watching unfold.
Right.
And why?
Right.
Like, if I don't know the motivation,
Maybe
I don't know why
I
the
would
rules
like it would be
exist.
easy to set the first 5 minutes up to the movie because they say in the auction scene that this is one solid piece of black oak or something like that. So
Yeah.
maybe they could show like some woman that was a witch or something was hung from this tree back in the day, or,
something.
and there
I
was
mean,
a curse upon it, and now they could easily have done that.
I feel like they could have taken some extra time somewhere, because there was a lot of exposition, especially in the beginning when Karen Gillan there is going through her rigmarole and reading off all the papers and everything for the cameras. So I feel like they could have included something. And instead they just decided not to give it any backstory and just to go forward with the story they had. And again, if you're going to spend that time building the universe and establishing the rules and everything, give it a reason. Why do those rules exist?
Right.
Why does this behave the way it does? You set all these hard rules, but you don't explain why.
Yeah, and I agree. Nothing more to say. It could have been better, but it was still all right.
Yeah, that's pretty much
I
it.
mean, it's the best movie we've rated in like the last 7 years.
Probably. But yeah, so that's it for this one. We'll see you next time with another movie.